Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Philly Pulse, your city sports beat, with your hosts, Joe Staszak, Sean Lochner over there. We have a special guest, Micah Warren from Heavy.com, one of my colleagues, coming on as well in a couple of minutes. Sean, how you doing, Bob? We missed you last week. Well, we missed me last week too, but episode 21 today. That's a full hand. How you doing? A lot of stuff to
Good.
unpack today because Phillies are about to start. Sixers are what they are. Maybe they're in tank mode. Who knows? Who knows what the Sixers are? They're shutting down everybody. And
Maybe we'll get Sixers Brown.
with that,
Maybe we'll get Sixers Brown special appearance.
right?
Maybe we'll get good old Larry Brown here, huh?
It would be nice, right? What is he doing now, by the way? He's not
I know,
he's still at
right?
SMU, is he? I don't know where he is. Coaching probably a high school team.
No, yeah, right. No, but there has a lot going on. I mean, 2 days till opening day. Eagles moves. Eagles always finding a way to steal.
Always. They're great at that.
Always,
They are great at
always.
that.
So, you know, but yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to see you.
You too, pal. Like your hair. Good haircut. You're all
I
slicked up.
know. Look at you. It's sunny, almost in the 60s, and
Not in here,
you're
Miss
curled
North. It
up
feels like the
inside.
North Pole in here, huh?
God.
All right. Well, let's without further ado, let's bring him in. Mike,
Let's bring them in.
we'll introduce him to everybody. I said 5 o'clock. Look, we're right on time today. That's rare. Here he
Very
comes.
rare for us. Typically, we have like internet problems,
Right,
and
and there he is.
there he is.
Oh, Micah Warren.
What's going
How you
on?
doing, man? Let me introduce you. Sean Lochner up there where Mr. Brady usually is. And
Hey, what's
Micah,
going
how
on?
are you?
And you know what, Staszak, I should have asked this beforehand, but does this podcast have a dress code? Because right now
I'm wearing
I've
a
got my
jacket.
Philadelphia
He's wearing a
Union scarf.
scarf.
It's comfortable.
I love it. He's got Christmas stuff up in the back. I'm going to steal that,
Do
by
I?
the way.
Wait, aren't you one to talk? Don't you? Aren't you a Christmas stuff all year
A little
round guy,
bit, little
Staszak?
bit. Look, Santa's
Mike-
back there eyeing it up already.
Micah, I'm pretty sure I saw those branches at Joe's house. Did you
Yeah,
take
you know
them
what?
the last time
I
you were
was
there?
missing some of them, right?
Just fess up, Joe. Just fess up. I mean,
Got
it's
them in the
fine. We're
dining.
all
I gotta go check my
friends.
dining room inventory. How you doing,
I
pal?
don't. I
Well,
do have a jersey collection though, but it's up in another room, and it's a bunch of people that nobody knows, so I don't think I would use it.
he's got
But
like Simone Gagne, Wes Hopkins from back in the day.
I've got a
Oh
Okay.
Mike
yeah,
Cyphers jersey. I have an
we had Marcus
authentic Mike
Hayes.
Cyphers jersey.
Oh, you
What's
did.
that?
The punter from
I
the Chargers. I have the most obscure stuff.
didn't even know
I
they
have the
made them.
greatest jersey collection I could never sell because everyone would be like, "What is this?"
We had Marcus Hayes on a couple weeks ago. He was about to give us in depth of what happened with Joel, and he got distracted by Wes
He
Hopkins in
did.
the
He did.
background.
He did.
Oh
And we couldn't get it
no!
out of
He
him. He
did
was like,
say he
"Man,
took a pop at him. He took a swing at him. I don't know where he hit him, but yeah, it was that was good stuff. So how you doing? Welcome to Heavy, man. I just heard you got that gig yesterday. Good stuff. You're doing Bengals. Tell us what you're doing at Heavy.
Yeah, so I just actually started this week. Dolphins and Bengals mainly, and there's other teams. I just did some stuff with the Falcons and the Colts. So if you're just dying for this information, I mean, hey, I got you.
Aren't we
Um,
always? I loved your Trey Hendrickson article. I'd love to see him in here in Eagles green, but it'll never happen. They got to give up a boatload for a trade and then pay him a lot of money.
right, so that's going to be the problem with the Bengals, which I don't know if they've learned their lesson yet. Like, what are you waiting to see from these guys? The Bengals are so poorly run.
Poorly
You're telling
run.
me you didn't see it with like what were you waiting to see from Jamar Chase? That you waited for Justin Jefferson to get paid, CeeDee Lamb, and then he gets the what were you waiting for? You think he got cheaper? Are you stupid?
That's why Howie did a nice job signing Devontae and giving them an age extension just a couple years ago on the cheap, kind of.
Well, it goes back to Joe Banner's theory, right? Which is approach your young players that you think are going to be exponentially good, and we're going to give you more money than you're worth right this second. In exchange, I believe on the back end of that contract, you're going to be worth more. That's the deal, right? Banner's been doing it. He did it with Lito and Sheldon and years ago. He did it with Damon Moore. Damon Moore bettered himself and then shredded his knee in the NFC Championship game in '01. Sorry, but they did come to you with a deal and you wanted to bet on yourself. It didn't work. Um,
Didn't Lito not quite understand what was going on with that?
because he wanted out on the back end.
When it came to the back end, he's like, "What's up?" And they're like,
That's
we went over this."
that's the problem with that theory, is that the guys do think, hey, wait, I'm not. I'm not paid market value. That was the
That
deal.
was the deal. You weren't paid either in the front. You were upped.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's too funny.
So the Bengals, I don't think are going to learn their lesson. And right now they have Burrow, obviously has to be paid. Obviously, Jamar, you could have had him a little cheaper, but you were going to have to pay him.
Do they need to pay T. Higgins all that money?
I gotta agree with you. No, your defense stunk with Trey Hendrickson. You were
Stunk.
25th in the league,
Stunk.
and he had 17 and a half sacks each of the last 2 years. I think in the last four, he's got 4 or 5. He's got like more than 70. It's something insane, and you still stunk. Uh,
Joe
so I
Burrow's not
think
happy. You could see it after his press conferences. Every time he put up like 5 touchdowns and they'd lose by 10, and he'd be like, "Yeah, we can't keep getting better by trading away our best guys."
I was just talking to a friend of mine about that. Burrow just had that. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but I just threw 4 touchdowns and 350, and we lost again.
Again,
You can't stop
remember he had
anybody.
a
You're run.
meeting after one of the games with his coach. He walked into the one of the side doors afterwards, and I don't know what was said, but couldn't have been happy. I don't blame him.
So are
There,
we that lucky to have uh, our setup with the Eagles that we
Yes.
have? I mean, it seems it's how he makes it seem so easy. Where how come all the rest of these teams can't figure it out? Just blows my mind.
I will say this, and this is why the Eagles are in an awesome spot. I don't want to say how he was given this position. He's earned the position
He has
of
earned it.
he's not going anywhere. He can look 2, 3 years down the road. You think Joe Shane up in the Giants? You think he's looking 2 years down the road? He's thinking, if I don't win tomorrow,
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Are you
So how can
surprised?
he
Is he
plan the way that
surprised that they
Howie can
retained
plan?
him?
What's that?
Are you surprised the Giants retained him?
Um, you could make an argument either way, but I don't see where turnover is getting you anywhere either.
It's not. It really isn't.
But he's also not empowered. He's got to win games now, and well, he's gonna now. He's got Jameis Winston, so cross that off the list.
I
He's
mean,
good to go.
he's only getting like 4 million a year, something ridiculously low.
And I'm fine with it. I like Winston actually. He's like the best and worst quarterback all in one.
He does it all. He dazzles you
He does it
on this
all.
drive, and then he throws like a pick six behind him, like on the next drive. Like, remember that game he threw like 5 touchdown passes, but then threw like 2 pick sixes, and he's just you don't know what you're going to get with him.
He's prolific.
Well,
He gives you.
at Florida State, I used to see an article. He is the greatest comeback quarterback and blah, blah. You know why? Because he threw 3 first-half interceptions and he had to come back from 21 down in the second half, like every other game. I mean,
I
and
think that
he
reminds.
did a nice job of it, but he would always put himself in the hole.
Well, wasn't that the Colts Chiefs playoff game years ago?
There
With
were
like, oh,
28
Andrew Luck brought him back. I'm like, yeah, well, he brought him out of the hole that he dug.
there were 28 points down.
So
Andy Reid, for
I'm fine, but I'm
all of his great comebacks, Andy Reid, he's got the 3 highest point leads blown in the playoffs. 28. It was 18 to the Titans, and when what's his name, the Hawaiian kid who played for us, played there,
Mariota.
and then another one was just a huge meltdown. But hey, listen, he bounced, but got Patrick Mahomes and bounced back a little bit.
It helps a little bit.
It helps a little bit, doesn't it? Everyone's like, "Oh, he's a Hall of Fame coach. He really learned it." Yeah, he got Patrick Mahomes. All right, Donovan to Patrick. There's the difference,
It helps. I mean, right now, Bill Belichick could not buy a job in the NFL.
right?
Now, granted, he's burned a lot of bridges and he's over 70, and okay, his methods and way of doing things probably doesn't relate to today's player. Okay, fine. But a guy with that resume, all of a sudden,
Right?
coaching, not even coaching Alabama, he's coaching North Carolina.
Can't find a job. I know.
Doing yoga on the beach too.
She's got a hot girlfriend. She's like 12.
Props.
He's done okay for himself.
He's fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I wonder how long he stays there, but I guess he's just chomping at the bit to coach. Some coaches just like to look at Raleigh, won a national championship. Next thing you know, he's coaching like Division IX, Florida, something down in the South. You know what I mean? Like guys just like to coach sometimes.
Well, and don't
Larry Brown will
discount.
take a job at like T Elementary if he can coach. Help kids get, you know what I mean? Like he'll keep coaching.
Well, don't discount Bill Belichick's recent media work That's clearly image rehab to me.
Of course it
I
is.
love it. I think he's great in the media.
He is
He
great
comes
in the
across as a
media.
much more decent person than we've known from people that have played for him. And
I've seen him as some of those. He is a funny guy. He just had that demeanor when he was with the Pats, and that was his thing. But off that, out of that realm, he's actually a pretty funny guy.
I think so too. But when he gets into the working world, I mean, I've heard stories from guys I know that have played for him, and like you wouldn't believe how he speaks to people. And I
Oh
don't think
yeah,
that plays today. Yeah, I don't think
doesn't
it play. Now,
shouldn't
it
play any
worked in
day.
the '80s.
Yeah, no, it did. You got away with more back in those days, but now the players are making like 10 times what you're making.
Right.
So it's crazy. Sean, I'll let you lead off here. Do some birds first. Let's talk about the birds.
So, Micah, what do you think of the move so far? I know, it seems like the world came crashing down right after the parade as soon as free agency opened. What's your thoughts so far?
Well, first of all, this is what happens, right? You win a Super Bowl or you make a deep playoff run. People want your players, your coaches. We saw Steichen and Gannon, whatever.
Get poached, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
we saw with the Lions are
Yeah,
now without their coordinators.
decimated.
So you just know that's going to happen. If you remember in 2015, the Super Bowl with, Malik Jackson was really good for Denver. Had a great Super Bowl. He's not getting that contract from Jacksonville if he didn't have a great Super Bowl. It happens all the
Sure.
time. And I love to use the Raiders as an example because I love to beat on the Raiders. Larry Brown had Super Bowl, in 95.
Yeah, Neil O'Donnell threw two balls to him.
Yeah, exactly. But the Raiders were like, yo, that's our dude.
Yeah.
They did it with Desmond Howard. Oh, he's a great punt returner? We're going to sign him like a number one wide receiver. They did it with Dexter Jackson in 2002. Super Bowl MVP? He's ours.
Right.
Somebody always does it. They're going to overpay. It's going to happen. The Niners did it with Javon Hargrave.
Yeah.
I like Javon Hargrave. Do you think the Niners felt like they got their money's worth?
No,
I'd say no.
they just released him, right?
Yeah. I think they had to.
Right.
I like Josh Sweat. I think he was a very good player, but somebody was going to overpay him. They overpaid Milton Williams. And you know what? To those, let me be clear. Those guys deserve it. Get your money. That now is your payday. Right now. No problem with it. The CJ-GJ trade was a little curious to me.
I thought that too, yeah.
But I don't mean to sound like some sort of sycophant, but I kind of trust Howie has a plan.
I'm the same way. Mike. I was kind of thrown off about the CJ-GJ too. Do you
I
think
was
there
curious.
Yeah. It just was weird, like leading up the Twitter rant that he was on, the whole thing with Darius, and then we're like, okay, looks like Slay's leaving. Now they're both gone. I mean,
I heard that
he was a pain in the ass, but how big
right? Okay.
was he?
Good point, John. So was he becoming too much of a mouth? Maybe. And also there was hints that he was going to want more money. And we know right now, Howie knows, not only can I not pay everyone, this is the first world problems of having a great roster. I can't pay anyone, but I got Carter coming up. You don't think Nolan Smith, Quignon, Dijon, this is all coming up. Again, first world problems, right?
Yeah, you got to keep the core together. You really do. And you know what? I wrote this. Josh Sweat and Milton Williams combined regular season had 13 sacks together, but they threw Patrick Mahomes around like a rag doll in the Super Bowl, and everyone remembers that. Man, these guys were unbelievable. You know what I mean? Trey
It's every year.
Hendrickson out-sacked them by 4.5 by himself in the regular season. But these guys had 4.5 sacks combined out of the 6, and they looked dominant. So, man, get your money. Good for them.
And to your point, Sean, losing Milton Williams didn't start. Now I know it's a rotation, and Jordan Davis, don't get me started. He gives you 20 snaps a game.
Right.
I don't even want to hear about second contract for him, honestly. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's a bust, but I don't want to go second contract, maybe. But Milton Williams wasn't a starter. Sweat was really disappeared at the end of the season. He showed up in the playoffs, but he was not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are acceptable losses to me. I'm not thrilled about it, but you didn't lose. It's not like losing Reggie White in '93.
Right.
You know?
So So they
Well,
go out and they get Ojulari, another Georgia dog from the Giants. I love poaching the Giants. 1 year contract,
For next to nothing, Staszak.
next to nothing, and he's had the injury bug, but he can play. He can play ball.
Uche, next to nothing. A couple
Now,
years ago, he had double-digit sacks. All right, I'll roll those dice.
that's what
Sure.
I would call value, because you're getting these guys at depressed numbers, and they do have, at some point they were very good. And like again, the Mekhi Becton thing was a reclamation project, and they think Stoutland University can do that with, they got Green from the Texans in the GJ trade. I'm not so sure how he's done with the edge rushers. Is it enough to this platoon system that they're going to use instead of getting, again, I think it's not prudent to go out and get a Myles Garrett or a Trey Hendrickson, but can it work?
Yeah, and you're gonna love this, Staszak. Just prepare, okay?
Yeah.
You might have to lean on Bryce Huff a little bit
Oh,
because
that's
it is going to be a
That's Sean.
I mean,
too.
wouldn't
Who?
that be found
that?
money if he could play? That would be found money.
It would be found money, but
Yeah.
if he couldn't play last year, and obviously like Angio, like either trusts you or he doesn't, he had all season to,
You're right.
and like,
He had a wrist injury for a bit. I don't know.
yeah, he did. Can he play? Like, I mean, they found a diamond in Bond, but they tried to bring in Bryce Huff, who had some flashes, and then he did nothing. Or he just not able to pick up the system.
Those are all finger crossing moves, I think. I think I don't know, but he showed me nothing. But for what it's worth, were you excited about Nolan Smith after his rookie year?
No,
And now he's
Georgia
indispensable.
The Georgia guys in the beginning of the season, I was like, these guys aren't as good as they were advertised.
Just didn't
Then
work
all of a
right.
sudden they became greater than great, greater than average. It was great. I mean, they developed real quickly because I thought they all sucked except for Jalen Carter, and even
Who's
he
a
took a lot of
super
plays
stud
off.
for sure.
Mhm.
But Nolan Smith actually, going back to Josh Sweat, he actually picked up the slack when they needed it. Um, I like Jalix Hunt. By the way, am I the only one? Can I just stop for a second? Jalix Hunt. Am I the only one that wishes he would take a half step back lining up? He looks like he's in the neutral zone every
All the
time. Am I the only one that
He
thinks that?
went to the D Ford school of 3-point stance,
T Ford. What a shame that was.
right? They go to a Super Bowl. The Patriots don't win a Super Bowl if he doesn't line up like 2 yards offsides.
You're right. You're right.
I was,
But again, I mean,
but
Jalix
you're right.
looks.
No, totally. Hey, what do you think of? What do you think of? I'm not saying what do you think is going to happen, and this is a little off but the tush push, does it remain?
You know what's funny? I was thinking of that before I came on. What does it say about teams and players when they change a rule for you? Chamberlain, they widened the
Yeah.
lane. Iverson, they changed the carry rule. Like they change these rules when somebody is so dominant. In this case, I was thinking about this. Other people try it. There's no special sauce like a Wilt Chamberlain or what Iverson does or what certain players do.
There's no individual because Kelsey left and they still can run it very well.
Yeah. And I swear to God, if I hear one more time, well, don't forget Jalen squats 600.
Oh
Shut
God,
up.
Stop it.
Oh,
Neil
well,
deGrasse Tyson even debunked that.
Well, as soon as they brought in AJ Dillon, as soon as AJ Dillon came in, that's
He's
immediately
another one that can, yeah, right?
push. He's going to be able to push him even further.
But it's not an injury thing, and
Yeah, you know what? Seriously, stop with it's a sneak. They're like, well, you have to be careful with sneaks. You don't want
quarterback
to get
sneak, and they found a loophole in the rules.
you don't want to get your quarterback hurt. Actually, that's not true. I have seen someone get hurt on the tush push when the Giants tried it. They
That's
got
'cause
Daniel
they never
Jones
practiced
hurt.
it. That's the first time they tried it. They told
Yeah.
Gable afterwards. He's like, "Well, we never practiced it. We just threw it out there and tried it." They got 2 guys hurt on that play.
Well, no kid. The Eagles practice it. It's important to them, and if you do it right, it is unstoppable.
It's unstoppable. Pretty much.
It used to be a rule you couldn't do it. I'm not going to cry about it one way or another. I don't think you should get rid of it because one team is really good at it.
Right.
And that's what they're doing, essentially.
But
Yeah.
the Bills were 2 for 6 on it against the Chiefs in the AFC title game.
And
Of course,
Josh
they kept
Allen isn't
running
a
to the
little
left,
boy.
like what they put on tape. And the Chiefs knew that. They said in the meeting, well, he takes a snap and he goes off the guard. Well, he did
Yeah.
that all game, and they just were like standing there.
And
He
McDermott
ran into
was
a pile of people.
yeah. And McDermott was one of them that was concerned about injury.
He said that. I'm like, oh, really? So
I think
so you're telling me you put your guys in peril 6 times that game? I was like,
And then decided it was a bad
I
idea.
called him out on that. That's
ran it
bullshit.
second most behind the Eagles last year.
And Josh Allen isn't a little boy.
No.
He should be able to
way.
fall forward for it. I mean,
Incredible. Just
and look, not for nothing, even the Eagles took a little bit of a step back with it. So a
They
last
did
year
they
or
did a little
two,
bit. Yeah.
if it was a yard, it was like, go get it. Now this year, I was like,
They've been stopped. Jacksonville stopped him a couple times.
I'd like it a little inside of a
Washington.
yard.
I agree.
Yeah.
The
My favorite
2022, it was unstoppable. 92%, 93%.
My favorite part about the tush push is we signed Saquon Barkley, and us as fans thought immediately the tush push was going away.
Yeah, no way.
We just kept on running
right,
it.
right. Just go
And then he
push
goes
the-
and has the greatest season ever. I mean, just
And how many touchdowns were left on the board? He could have had 18, 20
Oh,
touchdowns
So
in a
let me-
normal season with a different team, for sure.
Let me ask you something there, because I don't want to compare him to DeMarco Murray, but before DeMarco Murray came here, had 499 touches. The year he had 1,800 yards. Came here. I remember that one game they played against the Cowboys. He had 13 carries for 2 yards. Like, it was just disgraceful. And he couldn't. He didn't pick up the system, and he was just not good after that year. Barkley just carried. He had 400 plus the playoffs. He had upwards of 430 in terms of carries, touches. I'm sorry. How does that affect him? Is he one of those guys that, like, LeBron's still playing well and one of the best players at 42? Or is that going to affect him like most running backs?
Let's talk about that, because when the Eagles signed him, I wasn't crying. I wasn't dying for him, but I wasn't
No, I
crying. I
wasn't
was like,
either.
oh, sweet. He's not breaking the bank, fine. But last year, before the Eagles had him, before all this, I was like a lot of people, if he stays healthy, because he has had injury.
Yeah, sure, yes.
So if anyone, to me, I don't know what's going to happen this year, like nobody does, but to me, if you're expecting this again, I think you're going to be very disappointed. So yes, the touches matter, but I'm not getting rid of my injury concerns from last year. After he had a huge workload, I still have those same, maybe more injury concerns. And if you want to discuss that, Sean, I don't know how much you love AJ Dillon, but
He's out the whole season.
yeah, I think does he have a neck issue?
He had a neck issue, yeah.
Okay, well, ask Covey how that goes. Neck injuries are not good. Ask Peyton. Neck injuries
Peyton
are.
Manning has the same thing I have. That's why he's done. He couldn't throw a 20-yard out at the end of his career.
No, the Broncos won in spite of him that year, not because of him. Yeah,
right.
So I still think I would prefer another back to bring in. Actually, I was looking at, like, honestly, you guys can make fun of me all you want. This is what I'm here for, okay? Before he signed with Dallas, I was like, I don't know if I would cry if we got Miles Sanders back.
I was okay with my. He didn't have a good Super Bowl, but he had like 1,200 yards that year. He was fine.
He had a big year, and he's backing up Saquon. They can fight for who wears number 26. I think I know who wins.
That'd be a total. I didn't like. I like Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell. They didn't save a whole lot of money with letting him go. Steelers didn't pay him a whole lot. I know he played well against the Steelers, and they probably saw that game and like, wow. But
Gainwell, right? I mean, good player. I actually was always surprised because he used to be a wide receiver.
Mhm.
I thought they were going to use him in the passing game a lot more. They never did.
But
he was what he was, and he was fine. Shipley, I'm probably fine with him. I'm thinking if Saquon goes down, how much do you trust Shipley?
No,
Maybe you do. I don't know.
I mean, he's a burst of energy, but I don't know, can that keep up for over the course of games? I don't know.
What if you need him for 3 games?
I like the Miles Sanders idea.
Well, that's off the table, but I mean, even Javonte Williams, the Cowboys got. Now, for them, that's great. Their running game was so putrid last year.
Oh, bad.
These are huge upgrades for them. Congratulations. Like I'm not saying I think Najee Harris is still out there, I believe. I don't think
Yeah,
you need to go that route.
that's who Gainwell's place is taken. Did not wait. I thought Najee went to the Chargers. No, am I wrong on
He
that?
may
Did
have
he
I
did he did go to the Chargers?
okay, I missed that. The last I had seen that he was still out there. Okay. I wouldn't even have gone with that anyway. With this line, you can probably get away with a lot.
Probably can. They used to do a platoon system, and they led the league in rushing in 2021, Sirianni's first year, and they led the league, and it was a platoon system.
Well, in
Um,
2017, I don't think any of us were overly in love individually with
Individual with
Ajayi
Blunt and
or
Ajay, but
Blunt
they
and
were
Corey
great.
Clement.
Corey Clement.
They made it work.
They made it work.
Yeah,
They do with that offensive line, which I think they just extended Lane another year.
guess they did.
Yep. What are they doing at right guard? Is Steen's job to lose, or do you think does Green's another value guy? He's almost a bust for the Texans. He was the
Almost
15th overall pick a couple years ago. Hasn't really. I think Pro Football Focus, which sometimes I think they're
is off. Yeah.
is off, but they had him as like one of the worst guards in the league. So now he's an Eagle.
Yeah. So what I read is the Texans fans could not show him the door fast enough.
Really?
Get out of here. And just to your point on PFF, a lot of times it's a pro football. No, it's PFF. Um, I think at one point toward the end of last year, they didn't have Saquon in the top 10 of running backs.
I don't know
I guess
where.
I'm
I don't know
sorry.
what
How
their
am I going to believe
system.
another word you say?
Yeah, the credibility shot.
Yeah, come on. I don't know what your algorithm is. Might want to rethink it. I got eyeballs. Uh, but right guard, you're right. Okay, Steen, he's second round pick. What 2 years ago?
Mm.
Yeah, I don't hate him when he's played. I'm fine with it. I guess they're probably okay. But I don't want to get too cute with it. Okay, perfect example. Chip Kelly, the coach, Chip Kelly, the GM, did not understand that players still trump his system. Chip Kelly, the GM, screwed Chip Kelly, the coach.
Totally did.
Just getting rid of talent. So I don't want to say, well, we got Stoutland. All right, we do. Let's not get cute. You still need guys that can play.
I agree. Now, just because Micah Becton, they turned into like, an old
Animal.
an animal. He's already 6'7", like 330, like he's an animal.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying they can do that with everybody.
No, and you don't want to fall into the, well, I can coach anyone.
Right.
You know what? It's funny. I was just talking to a friend of mine about the Belichick Brady argument. Who I always said, and I'm wrong all the time, but in this case I wasn't. I was like, well, Brady's the one out there doing it.
You
So I'm going to go Brady
you
here.
can't go coach over.
If he had Nathan Peterman, we're not talking about Belichick. Ask Browns fans how much they
He's
love
always
him.
the one I always go to when I use an example of the worst of the worst.
It's the best.
I go Nate Peterman.
Nathan Peterman, that poor guy.
We had Les on a couple weeks ago, if you remember. He mentioned about as great as Stoutland is, he also had Chance Womack, took him on as a rehabilitation, and it still
Terrible.
It doesn't always work.
Exactly. So it seems like they're hoping because again, Steen was the starter until he got hurt. So it seems like they're trying to hope that they catch lightning in a bottle again in that position.
I mean, I like the concept of Chance Warmack, former first round pick, Mekhi Becton. I don't know, like I'm like everybody else. When they draft these guys, they show the highlights. Like that's the extent of my draft scouting.
Right.
That guy was just throwing people like 8 yards at BC. I'm like, oh my, I want to see this guy at the end, but he couldn't play tackle. Now I do like the theory of maybe high talent, highly drafted tackles that you could move to guard. Because if you remember, Tony Mandrich, remember the Incredible Bulk, the whole Sports Illustrated?
Stop choosing, yeah.
He couldn't play tackle, but he actually had a decent career as a guard.
Right.
Remember Robert Gallery in 2004, number 2 overall pick?
He's not from
He was
Iowa.
wrecking people at Iowa. But he couldn't get his hands on anyone in the NFL. They ran around him. They moved him to guard. Gallery actually had a good career as a guard because he could fire out and get his hands on people. Not everyone's built for tackle. I don't have a problem with bringing in, highly touted guys and see if Stoutland can do something with him. I'm fine with it.
Well, you probably had to like Joe Thuney. Why did the Kansas City Chiefs trade him? I know he had trouble adjusting in the Super Bowl to a different position, but he was one of the best offensive line. Was he a tackle that tried to play guard in that game, or a guard that tried to play tackle? I can't remember.
Guard playing tackle.
Guard playing tackle, right?
But to your point, I don't understand why they traded him unless there's money things that I don't understand, which is highly possible. But I didn't see an offensive line in that Super Bowl that could afford to lose anyone.
Right? Right? Unbelievable. I mean,
And was it Jawan Taylor? How their right tackle? How is he still in the league? That guy is either giving up a sack, getting a penalty. He can't line up right. How is he still even on the field?
He's a walking penalty flag. He
is.
Totally is. They got to rebuild that. I mean, that looked like the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers a few years ago. He was almost running for his life.
Yes.
It shows you can be the best quarterback, on nine different galaxies, but you don't have time to throw and you're getting tossed around. You got, Brady looks normal when the Giants were sending guys up the middle and he didn't have time to step into his throws or do his thing. So
quarterbacks don't like guys in their kitchen.
They don't like guys in their kitchen.
Nobody does.
Well, good stuff, man. Just real quick to wrap, I mean, the NFC East, okay, I mean, the Giants are what they are. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback except for Jameis Winston. I guess that's what they're doing. Cowboys, they didn't make too many big splashes. Washington bolstered the offense a little bit. They got Deebo Samuel. I know the defense was their problem, though.
Okay, stop there for a second. Okay. Because obviously Washington's the hot team last year. Everyone, Jaden Daniels, we love them, all of it. Why did they cut Jonathan Allen, who is your best defensive tackle? He was the only guy that could stop the run on a defense that could not stop the run. I think they were like third worst in the league. And you just cut him. Deebo, I'm fine with him for a fifth, but if you think you're getting 3 years ago Deebo, I got news for you.
No.
He's out of shape. He's kind of a headache. He's a gadget guy. I mean, all right, fifth round pick, fine. I'm not in love with Washington's offseason, and they do have cap room, and they're a desirable place to go, right? Because Jaden and they're hot.
Sure.
So now I'm not saying you waste it all on free agents that you think are going to help, whatever.
No, not at all.
So I don't know if I'm in love with Washington the way I thought I would be. But there's still time, whatever. It's very early.
There is time, but I was scratching my head at the Jonathan Allen thing, too. I didn't get that. Again, you look maybe.
How about Jaden? Did you hear about Jaden's mom, Micah?
No.
Did you hear that?
Did I? I don't know. Did I?
Yeah, so I guess apparently his mom is being criticized for separating Jaden and Juju Watkins. Apparently they were sitting together or something, and his mother came in, and she's been very adamant about women in Jaden's life.
That I did hear a while ago, that she's very I mean, I appreciate
Mom's
the sentiment.
top blocking him. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah.
What the hell?
I did hear that a while ago. I didn't know that specific story, but I have heard that she monitors his dating habits, which
Mom, come on.
Hey,
quarterback.
I mean, come on, but think about it, Joe. Juju got $5 million from the NIL, so I mean, she's doing okay. She's a good girl.
I would think so, right?
No, Mom.
But there's also the theory of, do you guys remember Prince Amukamara from the Giants?
Yeah.
Well, supposedly some of his teammates thought he got a lot better after he got married because he had been saving himself for marriage. And without getting into too much detail, they were like, finally, he was able to just so there is some theory of that too. I get women can be a distraction to all of us, and we're all guilty of it.
Right, of course.
I raised my hand. I'm guilty of it. But there's
I'm sure
something.
The Eagles fans are going to have a hell of a time with that story.
We'll have to monitor that one if he's on a reality show at some point.
Oh my God! Right?
Who wants to date my son?
Good stuff, man. Let's talk before we get into Phillies because they're starting in a couple of days. Let's talk a little Sixers. First of all, I showed Sean. That's why we started a little late. He couldn't stop laughing at your fake.
I can't even believe it took me this long. Like I'm
fake,
like,
yeah, he's always on Twitter. Bryce Brown account.
Oh, you're talking about the Brett Brown Sixers?
Brett Brown, I'm sorry. Yeah,
he had Sixers Brown.
Tell us a little bit about that because he was laughing his ass off. I was too.
All right, so I remember when I was living in Doylestown, PA, and my wife at the time, we were driving to the gym, and you know how when Philly gets any sports, they get a new coach, they have like their introductory press, interview. Like for us, it's WIP, right? And as soon as I heard him talk, I looked at my wife and I was like, I have to make a Twitter account for this. He's got a super thick accent. I know the
Super good.
accent well. My grandfather had it. I have family from New England. My dad was from New England. I went to BU. I've spent my summers on the Cape. I know the New England accent. So I was like, I created this Twitter account and I typed everything phonetically as he would say it in a Boston accent. And it started to just get traction. And then the beat writers followed it. And then people were just retweeting and retweeting. And all of a sudden I got 3,000 or more followers. And Tom Moore, who's the Sixers beat writer for Courier Post, Philly Burbs, like Bucks County Courier Times, and some others. And I saw him tweet that he's like, I showed Brett Brown today after practice the Twitter account, and my heart sank because I just thought it's fun, but I don't want to. I don't want to insult him. I don't want him to be upset about it. Like I'm just doing it for fun. And he said, Tom Moore said he flipped through my phone and just laughed, and he goes, "What a world we live in." Now he actually would have said, "What a world we live in." But and there were people that would respond to me like, "Brett, I saw you last night at the game. Thanks for talking to my son." I was like, "Do you think this is a real? You think he would really type like this? How stupid are you?"
Oh, that's awesome.
But it was so much fun. When the Sixers were playing during the draft, anything like that, I was like, you got to tweet. And my wife at the time, she's like, the Sixers are on. You have to tweet because that's when people are paying attention. And I would just gain hundreds and hundreds of followers. I was very upset when he got fired. I was like, well, that's the end of that.
And didn't you say people would then tweet in and say, you suck tonight, or you do your.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
they would
I got
think that was real. That's hilarious.
You're so stupid. I don't know why you did this. And I was like, are you reading this? Who would type like this? It's an accent. It's a way you speak. You don't. And if anyone wants to check it out, it's still up at Sixers Brown. I found like a kind of obnoxious picture to use as my avatar.
Why? And I saw in September that you were back up and running it. I was like, oh my gosh.
I would throw stuff out there, just no one cares anymore. It's just not relevant. But it became a character where I made it up that he would go to a Howard Johnson's after every game and get wasted on Miller Lite. And I always tried to pick words that ended in R so that I could write it out.
Cancel culture.
And there was beat writers that I would accuse of being in the Howard Johnson's with me after the game, getting hammered and sleeping on the couch. I don't even know where. It just took on a life of its own. It was fun. I had it. That's the most I've ever gotten out of Twitter. I never really got much out of Twitter.
That's hilarious.
He's the best. I'll never forget. He's Mike. He used to call in a Missinelli show maybe once a week during the season. I forget what it was. And I remember the one time he was talking and he was out of breath. And I remember Mike at one point was like, Brett, you all right? And he's like, yeah, I'm out for a jog.
I'm just going for a jog and we don't have the right players. And
running.
But I actually got caught doing that impression at a Sixers game. And most of my section turned around and looked at me. And one guy goes, don't stop. I was like, really? You guys like that? I always thought I've just always liked impersonating people.
Bravo, man. That was good stuff.
If that's my claim to fame for life, like put it on my tombstone, that's all I got.
So when Tom Moore, that's.
Do you know Tom Moore?
I don't really know him that well.
So he reached out to me on DMs. He's like, it was off season. And he's like, I want to write an article about this Brett Brown. Clearly, he's looking for stories. He was probably
That's okay.
And he goes, I'll leave you anonymous if you like. And I thought,
dude. Oh no, get my name out there.
I don't care. Blow the lid off of the Brett Brown story.
Absolutely. No, that's any ink is, trust me, good ink. And that wasn't.
I thought you thought it was funny.
That was a playful thing, and most of those guys can laugh at themselves.
Yeah,
you know.
And he's a fellow BU alum.
That's right, BU, right, my man.
Yeah, BU,
my man. So tell us what's going on with the Sixers, man. I mean, they got out to a bad start and got worse.
Yeah, so I recently went on FanDuel, and they gave me 30-1 odds if I could name a starter on the Sixers. I passed it up because I wasn't sure. So one of my cousins, she's a huge Sixers fan, and a few weeks ago she texted me and she's like, "Oh my God, it's G League out there." A few weeks later, she's like, "I was kind of kidding before, but no, now it really is legitimately." Was it D League, G League, whatever it is? This is not a professional basketball
right?
Team.
Totally.
You got Grimes. It's like, okay, am I supposed to be excited about this? Now, early on, we were excited about what McLean before he busted his knee.
Yeah,
He was balling.
was balling.
But so like it's him and Maxi moving forward. I'm an Embiid guy, but I thought the time to move him was last offseason.
Might have been, yeah.
And you waited a year. Now he's 30, broken down, really doesn't play a lot. I mean, when he's out there, he's the difference. But he's never out there. So what are you really going to get?
What are you going to get it for him?
And don't give me a bunch of first round picks that are top 20 protected until 2029.
Right.
Like that doesn't do anything. Right. We might be starting the process over with Maxi and McLean.
Ouch.
It is McLean, right? Like I always get it's not McCain. I always get his name wrong.
I mean, that's a Philly sport thing. We always get the last names wrong. Right. That's our thing.
People still call 5 Donovan.
Yeah.
Like it's Donovan. Where did it become Donovan?
If I hear one more person call him Michael Irving,
oh my God,
no G on the end of his name. I was on his radio show once too as a guest years ago.
You on Herbs?
I made a Paris Hilton Coke joke on my blog.
That's my guy, 47.
Oh, you're a Miami guy, right?
Big time.
All right.
The weirdest thing ever.
He had me on his show for that.
He had you on your show for what?
Paris Hilton had gotten arrested for. I was bored on a weekend. She had gotten arrested like in Vegas for some cocaine or something. And so I wrote the story up and I was like, she was found with a white powder and the police immediately called Michael Irvin in to identify the substance. That was it. Well, it showed up in Google News because my old website was in Google News. And I got an email from the producer on that Monday. And I was like, oh, I'm just kidding. I don't need to. And my friends were like, dude, you got to go on.
You got to go on.
Dude,
you got to go on.
Michael didn't really care.
His
co-host tried to play it up. He's like, what if Michael's wife read this? And I was like, she reads my website?
Yeah, that'd be great. Really?
I know, right?
Come on, dude. Like you're really, this is really slow news day. You have me on.
Don't lose that intensity. Keep that same intensity. Remember he came out after the prostitute thing was a sham and he was telling the report, right, with that same intensity. Y'all don't lose that intensity. Oh, my man.
The trash can at him.
He bounced back. He bounces back from more jobs than Missinelli does.
Well, yeah. Well, they had the White House in the mid-90s.
Of course.
And then there's the story in Jeff Pearlman's book, Boys Will Be Boys, that he stabbed Everett McIver, who was a backup offensive lineman, in the barber's chair with a pair of scissors because he wouldn't get out and give Michael his turn in the barber's chair.
Why wouldn't he get out?
I don't know. I would have just gotten up and been like, yeah, we'll finish this later. He's got scissors. He might use them.
Is that right? Oh, man.
It's Jeff Pearlman. You know Jeff Pearlman, right?
Yeah.
He wrote the John Rocker article. He wrote the USFL book, Boys Will Be Boys.
Oh, God.
That's, yeah.
He's trying to make a comeback now, too.
Come back at what? At baseball?
He's on X. Well, everybody.
Sure.
Rocker is?
America great again. Yeah, John Rocker's on.
He's a MAGA?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't need Sherlock Holmes for that one.
Yeah. Or a NOLA.
Oh, God. All right. So the Phillies are starting in 2 days, really, even though the season started last week in like Japan. And then they came back and played more preseason. I thought that was stupid. But anyway, so they didn't do much. And they're kind of running it back. And they've gotten, this team has made the playoffs 3 years in a row. Kind of like what they did after they won the World Series every year.
Exactly what they did after the
They've gone to they've gone less far.
Yeah.
And they got bounced in 4 games by the Mets. Bryce Harper, I don't know why the reporter, I forget who wrote the story, doesn't follow up on this, because Bryce Harper said twice the last 2 years, we got out hit, we got outplayed, we got out coached. Now I don't like Rob Thompson all that much for some things he's done in the postseason. I thought were glaring in maybe 2 of the 3 years. And their approach to hitting hasn't changed. So you can get rid of all the hitting coaches you want. They either hit home runs and win games by like 10, or they strike out 17 times and they fold up their 10 after a 2-0 lead over the Diamondbacks, who won 80 games that year. You know what I mean? Like, and they went Yuck, they had Houston on the ropes, and then they get no hit. First time since only second time Don Larson did it. That was a perfect game now, but they got no hit. They hit 0.95 the rest of that series in the next three games. Um, their approach is terrible. It didn't, and it was kind of the same thing against the Mets. The Mets then go on and face the Dodgers. The Dodgers knocked them around for almost 10 runs a game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I will say in that Houston, just because you mentioned that, I think they had what, 3 runs in the last 3 games. You're not gonna win. Blame the pitching all you want. You're not winning many
No.
games, putting
The
up a
big
run
guys went
here
like
and there.
1 for 28. Yeah, the big guys.
It was bad. I do have a problem with Schwarber leading off. Now,
I was going to ask you that. Okay.
Rob Thompson has a point. He was like, I know, but we tend to win when he leads off. He's right. They tend to win more games when he leads off, but I'm sorry. Am I being an old man? I don't think I'm that old.
You're going old school. You're going old school.
A
But
clear number 4 hitter is leading off. I get we don't have, was it Juan Pierre and Luis Castillo? Remember with the Marlins, those two leading off the top? This isn't that lineup, but can we have somebody that gets on base that is a threat to steal or score? Or I'm not a huge metrics fan. I'm not a sabermetrics
do you think
guy.
if he does go back in the lineup, he's going to see pitches? If he's going to hit 45 home runs a year and drive in 100 runs? I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't know. He'll have protection.
He'll have a little bit of protection. He will. You're right
We're
about that.
assuming Harper's hitting 3.
Yes.
And depending on which Castellanos you're getting, could be 5, or which Real Muto you're getting could be
Where
5.
do you put Turner? Okay, I guess you're going to lead off Turner.
Lead off for second, right?
Okay.
So then Schwarber at 4.
Hopper said yesterday that he's thinking about platooning when left-handing pitching. Turner and Schwarber lead off, but I think it's going to be Turner leading off. I don't. I actually think you're going to get your wish, and you will see.
And that's your only change this year? Like they're going to run it back with base, like you said, the same team, because we're not going to know what Ray Milto is going to bring. Castellanos, pretty good clutch hitter, like, when the game's on the line, but then he can go cold for, weeks and weeks.
Right. They love him and hate him.
Yeah, it's a love-hate, yeah.
Yeah, depending on the day.
Depending on the
I don't
day.
know. And Sean, to your point, I worry about the metrics of it all. And sometimes you just get too cute. And look, I lived up in North Jersey in the early 2000s. I know Torrey. I watched a lot of Yankees games. Is he a great manager? No, they could pitch and hit. Let me manage them.
Right.
I thought Torrey managed his bullpen rather poorly, if I'm being honest. Relying on guys like Quantrill and like, oh, you're going to use him again tonight? Okay, because his arm's going to fall off. Charlie Manuel, don't forget when Charlie Manuel came here, do you remember the quote? I think it was his first year. He goes, well, sometimes forget the pitcher hits in the National League. I was like, you just said that out loud. Please, this is classic fodder for private conversation, okay? Don't say I forget the pitcher hits in the National League. We thought he was a bumpkin. We were like, what are you doing? All of a sudden, we could pitch and hit.
Now he's a legend.
And now he's a legend. So as a manager, I'm a less is more. Let's not get too cute, because you're just over the course of 162 games. At some point, you're going to outthink yourself. Put the players in that give you the best chance. I'm not saying don't pay attention to situations, of course. But like you're saying, when you start messing with leadoff and stuff, I mean, let's be honest. Trey Turner and Schwarber are not similar players. That's a big decision you're making if you're going to rotate those guys.
I mean, my perfect batting order, I have Turner, Harper second, Bohm third, Schwarber fourth, Castellanos fifth, Stott sixth, Kepler seventh, Realmuto eighth, and then my platoon of Marsh and Rojas. That's my hope.
I don't hate that, but you got Real Muto down there, huh?
I do. I think he's declined. I really do.
He's probably on the back nine.
Yeah, and I don't know. They were messing around with him. I remember if it was last year where they put him up at 2 for a little bit and he did well, and then he started to decline. So I don't know. I think if you throw him down at 8 and you just let him do his thing and not pay attention to him, maybe he works his way up the lineup. I don't know. I love him, but I think we're seeing the end of him.
Well, there is more of a theory these days too, right? When you slide guys down, that it can lead into because after a leadoff hitter only leads off once,
Right.
unless it's
Right.
dictated later in the game. So
One.
at some point, somebody's got to be ahead of him. And I think I've seen more of a theory lately in baseball of putting somebody decent, maybe at 8 and 9, that can get the lineup turned over better. Um, so I wouldn't hate it for that reason. But again, we don't know what Real Bohm is. Oh boy. You know what? And this is why I hate spring training. All I hear, Taiwan Walker looks really good. Shut up. Stop it. He's already got to be in the rotation right now because Suarez is going to start the season on the IL, we call it now.
Got a back problem again.
He's got a lower back problem. That's not good.
Hey,
and
Ron,
so Taiwan Walker's in your
he
rotation.
got rocked yesterday.
Who did?
Taiwan.
He gets rocked. He's got like an ERA over 7 last year. Didn't
I know.
he? Something stupid.
But he looks great, Micah. Looks great.
Oh, well, Bohm's knocking the crap out of the ball too, because that's funny. Because I thought you wanted to trade him this offseason.
He's lost 10 pounds.
Spring training is brutal.
It is brutal. Spring training.
But you know what? The Phillies still have an excellent team. It still comes down to, and we've seen it year after year, who's playing well. Remember the first season the Phillies made the playoffs in my adult lifetime in 2007. They ran into the Rockies. Didn't they win like 29 of 31 games just to make the playoffs? They were an absolute buzzsaw.
Got swept.
We ran right into them. And ended up, I think it was, I forget who beat them, but they had an advantage because they ran through it so quick. They had rest. And, in baseball, rest ain't always a good thing if you're playing well.
Sure.
Right.
So it does come down to, if the Phillies are 10 games back in July or August, you just want to get in the dance. And if you're playing well, that's your chance.
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking David Wells before the 88, in 2008, when it was down to the Final Four. And it was Phillies, Dodgers, and Red Sox, Rays. And I was doing some event or something. I was talking to David Wells. I was like, David, come on. My Phillies have a chance? And he said the word, but he's like, F no. Because we were probably the 4th best team of those 4, but we were playing well at the right time. Mm-hmm. Do I think the Phillies were the best team in baseball in 2008? No.
Well,
doesn't matter.
Again, in this argument, what's the best team? You mean the roster? Because the best team doesn't always win. It's the team who plays the best.
How did Seattle do when they won 116 games or whatever?
That's what I mean. They got bounced in the first round by the Yanks.
Yeah. So I'd rather be patient throughout. And Philly's a very patient town. They're very patient with their team. So just be patient. Because remember last year, May, June, WIP was lit up with this. I don't see how this team loses this year. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate the sentiment. It's easy to say right now, the Phillies look great. Talk to me in August, because they're going to hit a skid. Everybody's going to hit a skid. You're going to go hot and cold. It's baseball, and it's a long season.
Team, right.
Oh, yeah.
You just hope they're hitting their stride at the right time.
Yeah. It's just...
And that you have Taiwan Walker as your ace.
What can they do about, listen, I know, I guess you can't make Turner the DH because he hurts you out there at shortstop. Like he's not a good fielder.
Well, traditionally, explain this to me, because I'm not a baseball junkie the way I am with the NFL. Historically, isn't Trey Turner an excellent shortstop? Wasn't that one of the things we were excited?
Yeah, you mean before he came here? Yeah, he was before, of course. They're always good before.
Right.
He's not anymore. He's the Dave Kingman of ground balls, except Dave Kingman was the fly ball, do the war dance, trying to catch a pop. But
well, who's the kid? Who's the shortstop that's 20 coming up? I can't imagine.
I was thinking about. I'm not in baseball mode yet, so I can't think of his name. But yeah, I was thinking about: is he too young? Is he ready to play? I mean,
and what about the other? Where are we on Painter? He's missed the last 2 seasons, but everyone says this kid has stuff like you've never seen. You're right. I haven't seen it. He's hurt all the time.
Painter, he's going to pitch if all goes well. He'll be up June, July-ish.
Okay, good.
To kind of give you your 6th man rotation, so to say. But as far as I lost my train of thought. As far as Turner, I have this weird feeling. Are we being extremely hard on him? Like our parents were hard on Mike Schmidt. Now, I'm not saying that Trey Turner's a Hall of Famer. I'm not
No, I got you.
comparing him as a player, but I'm comparing us as fans. Are we just laying into this guy?
Why would
Or
we
is
not
that
be?
right
He
so?
sucks in the field. And he sucks
Yeah,
in the
but
postseason too, like in terms of the clutch at bats. I know he actually hit not bad last year in the regular
Yeah, I
season.
mean, well, that's just it. Last year he was on fire. He was having a hell of a year. He gets hurt, and then okay, he played like shit for the rest of the year. Um, or batted 247, I think it was. So I get that part of it, but I mean, the guy is just I, I don't know.
If you
I
suck in this town and don't produce, when you're getting over $300 million,
Staszak, there you go. You just
sure, yeah,
I think most fan bases are like this. We're a different animal in Philadelphia. We are rabid, and that's fine. That's why people make a lot of money because people care.
yeah.
But Staszak said it. It's when when we see somebody getting paid, and I'm sure other fan bases do it. It's like you better be awesome.
you better be freaking awesome.
You better bat 950. I don't want to hear a
So,
word.
so
Yeah, honestly, that's how they get treated. So they're judged on their salary, which
Sure.
I didn't pay him. It's not my money, and there's
Right.
no cap. Now, if the Eagles overpay, let's say I'm there, Bryce Huff. Okay,
Nice
fine.
off, right.
That affects my cap, so that affects my team, so I can have input on that. When you pay a guy like Trey Turner, even Bryce Harper broke the bank at the time. Now he's quote
Oh.
unquote underpaid, whatever. They're going to hold you to that standard that they
Mhm.
think 300 plus million gets you.
Because that puts a value on you in terms of what you're worth as
We
a player.
spent all this money, and that's,
Right.
you know,
so
and that's
Trey
how it goes.
Turner's slump that where we gave a standing O and helped him get out of it.
Is that Jack Fritz?
Basically, we witnessed his for who for what moment where he's a solid baseball player. We're just not, I don't know, like Ricky Waters. We never sat back and looked and said, oh, he had a hell of a career for the Eagles.
He's the only running back in NFL history with 1,000 yards with 3 different teams.
He had a really
Niners,
good
Eagles,
career
Seahawks.
here. Really good career.
He was fantastic. For who for what's
Good.
going to live on forever. I have a t-shirt store online, and I have for who for what and for who mugs and t-shirts. And my friends are like, "Well, is anyone going to know what that means?" And I was like,
Everyone knows what it means.
"If you're an Eagles fan, you
You're an
know for
Eagles
who for
fan,
what." I use it
absolutely.
in I use it in everyday life all the time. I'm like, "Yeah, well, for who for what?" It's just part of how I speak now. But Ricky Waters was fantastic. He's one of the most underrated running backs of all time.
Totally.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
It was amazing here. He really
So
was.
good. And he wanted to come here. That was his, like, it was all about it. I'll never forget. It was what, Glenn Macnow was on the radio, and he's like, apparently we have this guy, Ricky Waters, saying he's Ricky Waters. And here he wanted to come here, which
He
was,
called into WIP.
yeah, no, there was something that was going on where there was rumors that he wanted to come to Philadelphia, and he ended up it was when he signed or something, and because he was from Pennsylvania, and yeah, he was like some guys calling in saying he's Ricky Waters, and turned out it was.
I've heard of guys doing that sometimes. And you know what? Another thing too. Don't forget how great was Charlie. We had Ricky Waters and Charlie Garner in the backfield.
Yes. Remember
They
going
were-
to the breakout game against San Francisco?
It was just about
Oh, I
they
remember
won
my
40-8.
Yeah,
yeah, I remember my
40
friend. My friend called me during the game, and he just goes, "Dude, we got Barry Sanders on our team," and he hung up. I was like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah.
But remember, he was hurt his rookie year. That was the first game he played. He was a
Yeah.
second round pick, out of Tennessee,
Yeah,
and no
out
one
of
really knew.
Tennessee.
And then he just started. I was like, "Oh my god!" And he went on to a great career with the Raiders. Charlie Garner was an incredible running back,
So fast.
and we had them in our backfield together. And no one really talks about that. I mean, that because for years we couldn't buy one. Remember when they used to try and tell us Anthony Toney and Keith Byers were good running backs?
Yes.
Now, granted, the lines suck, and we traded a first round pick for Ron Solt. Oh my
Oh
lord,
my God.
that line was so bad.
Von Hebron.
We were excited for Sean, you're wrong. We were excited for Von Hebron and James Joseph, and I was like, Robert Drummond, this guy. You got to watch this guy.
Hey,
Robert Drummond,
Heath Sherman, come on.
Heath Sherman led the NFL in yards per carry in 92, 91 with 5 yards.
And 5
He was
yards.
good.
And who was the one who was? Who was the one who was? He was he has like the worst yards per carry in NFL history.
Thomas Saunders.
No,
remember him? Remember he played a little bit.
Yeah, he did a little bit. Of course, then there was it?
Oh, you're talking about not Hubie Oliver, but Michael Haddix.
Michael Haddix, thank you.
First round pick in 1983. It's not like there was any other good players in that draft.
In 83.
That was during from what was it? From Elway to Marino, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I think Haddix was 8th overall. Staszak, do I have that right?
That's right. He was.
Am I close? Way too high is the answer.
This stat that they show on that 30 for 30, I forget what it is. He was like in the NFL for like what, a month?
Haddix was tough. I mean, I think in '84 we took Kenny Jackson, 4th overall out of Penn State, and then brought him back later after we cut him. He came back later. I mean, Phil Smith, Ron Johnson. I mean, we can go through the '80s.
Brutal, dude, brutal. Who was the one?
My childhood.
This is the kind of stuff, Staszak. This is what I was telling you yesterday. This is the stuff that people are like, Micah, no one cares.
Yeah,
no one cares.
Oh, I love it. We acknowledge it too. He's...
Micah, my favorite that me and a bunch of my buddies say all the time, can't teach height.
Can't teach height.
Can't teach height.
Unbelievable.
Speed comes to the ballpark every day.
Only in Philly, man. Well, Michael, we appreciate you coming on, man. We got to wrap. That was fantastic.
Thanks for having me on. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I'll dress better next time. I have nice clothes.
Yeah, man, this was fun. This was good.
I better see those sticks in my dining room Thursday night. No questions asked.
I'm in my mom's living room right now, and I'm going to tell her about this. But at least I appreciate. Usually, when I would end my podcast with Luther Broughton, Sean, I don't know if you remember Luther, who's a tight end for the Eagles. That I did he would always end every podcast with a negative comment about my mother. So I appreciate you guys not doing that.
No worries.
Well, we'll think of something else.
Yeah.
Leave my dad out of it.
Tell the audience again where we can find you, where we can find all your stuff, because it's great, man.
Heavy.com. Right now, I've been writing about the Bengals, Dolphins, Falcons, Colts, and I'll keep writing about more. I'm sure there's other places to find me, but I don't know that right now. That's probably the one.
Awesome, man.
But I appreciate it, man. I love anytime you guys want to kill some time and be like, that dude doesn't shut up. We could just like not do anything.
Good. We could have just let him go. We could have like.
Oh yeah.
I have a cardboard cutout of me out there. I could have just sat here for a while.
Joe, I'm coming over Thursday, man. If he's there, I'm there.
Dude,
you coming over? Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm coming over.
All right,
All
good.
right.
Well, we'll have a good time, man. Maybe watch some games or something. But
little college hoops. I had St. John's winning it all, so I'm not going to be paying too much.
You have who? Who's that?
St. John's.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
How do you bench RC Davis? Like, I know he was having a bad game, but how do you not play the Big East Player of the Year down the stretch? Just curious.
I'm not a huge college. I know Cooper Flagg. That's the extent of my NCAA knowledge. And I know better than to pick like even former Big East teams. This isn't the 80s. Chris Mullin doesn't play there anymore. But that's how I pick my teams. I'm like, Arkansas. Well, they had Mayday and Oliver Miller. Maybe they're still good.
Hey, they're in the Sweet 16, man.
I know. Hey, look, I appreciate you guys, though. Thank you for having me on.
Dude, it was fun. We'll catch you Thursday night. Sean, great stuff. It's been the Philly Pulse, your city's sports beat, and you can find us on YouTube and of course all the audio outlets, Apple, Spotify, etc. For Micah Warren, Sean Lochner, I'm Joe Staszak. Appreciate it, folks. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.